like down in Mexico, there apparently are caves across the border between the United States and Mexico. So these giant caves apparently dug not by the cartel, but by these giant men at some time in the past, the recent past. I might have mentioned before that a fellow called me up one day, and I was taking notes as fast as I could. He said he had been down to Mexico where the drug cartel area was, and nothing happened to them. But he said, we found 3 giant cities, and at least one of them looked like it had been lived in recently. Now, I'm just going to tell you what he told me. He said, we found coffins. They were made out of green granite that were polished as like water. Not smooth, but like water. And they were 12 feet long, which would have held a man 10 or 12 feet tall, ostensibly. Makes your hair stand on the back of your neck to think that, well, were those guys still around? You know, and in the drug cartel down there, you don't know what's going to happen with that. And there are other instances where giant men have apparently been seen. A friend of mine back in, I think it was in Florida. This isn't, I don't think this guy was a giant. He was really, really big, but my friend says this guy just walked into town one day. He had really long hair and he was huge. He just walked through the town. Nobody ever saw him before or after.
That'd be scary.
You know, just a kid. He didn't know to follow up on it, but I don't doubt it. You know, I know he's telling the truth. He didn't know what to make of it, and I don't either, but there you are. There's a lot of stuff around us, under us, you know, in the underground, that we don't know what's down there. And, you know, a lot of speculation sometimes leads to finding something out. So, you know, I'm for one, you know, follow up on a lead. It may sound ridiculous. Follow up on it. You know, you never know what you might find, but I think they're out there.
I'm just wondering if this goes back to biblical time, these giants, or maybe they're offshoots of aliens or something, because there's been species supposedly of aliens that are giants with red hair.
Well, that's the, I guess, kind of the main debate right now. It's not, among those that say they're aliens and some that say they're biblical origin, there's not a debate as to whether they exist. The debate is, where do they come from? Are they the biblical Nephilim, fathered by fallen angels and human women? Or did they come from outer space and some other planet? You know, I hate to say this, it's going to sound crazy, but both might be true, because angels, as we understand them, can go and come in the air. They're not bound by gravity as we understand it. So do they live out there on the moon? You know, well, that'd make them an extraterrestrial. But, you know, what the ancient aliens show, and those guys are, I think, getting at, is these are species that are not mentioned in the Bible, that we don't know anything about. And they're always more advanced. You know, I don't buy that. For one, there's nothing in that says it couldn't be the biblical Nephilim. And most of the guys that are researching the Nephilim agree that Nephilims the descendants of Nephilim don't necessarily have to be giants themselves. They could be hybrids. They could be, you know, generations down where the giantism doesn't come through as much. But they're doing all these strange things. You know, a lot of people are starting to finally wake up to the fact that Greek myths aren't myths as we think of them. You know, it's like the word gay. Gay used to mean, you could apply that to a cowboy. The gay caballeros. Well, now you wouldn't say gay cowboy. It's gay means somebody who's, you know, it's a homosexual thing. So words have changed. And the word myth is really just the word story or account in the ancient world. It doesn't mean a falsehood or just a false story. So words get changed around. And I think a lot of people begin to realize, oh, these myths aren't really untrue. They're really stories about actual beings. Well, now, what are they? Did they come from the planet Kolob, the planet Jupiter, Mars? You know, maybe they were out there. Maybe that's where God put them. Maybe God gave these special angels their own planets. And when they rebelled, if you agree with the Bible, God got mad at them and destroyed their planets. I mean, look at the surface of all the planets. They're really messed up. they're dry looking. They look like bombs hit them. The moon just splattered with bombs. If there was anything up there, it would pretty well been like being in Germany in World War II. There's no place it wasn't a hole.
Oh yeah.
So I think a lot of this stuff in Greek mythology and ancient Indian accounts and things all over the world, they're really talking about a small group of these individuals. And people want to say they're outer space beings that came here and brought man and started Earth and all that. I don't go with that, but I do think that these accounts are about individuals. And a lot of these stories about them, those are actual, pretty much factual stories. Now, some have been elaborated, to make them more fit that culture's idea of that entity. But by and large, I think you're looking at a true story that's just been told down through the ages. I mean, good grief. Look at how many movies right now have been made in the last 10, 15 years of what really amounts to a fallen angel. What I like to call the Lady in the Tramp scenario, the tramp, the hood, the cur dog, and the little beautiful high pedigreed female dog, or the virgin or whatever, or the really pretty girl, just can't wait to get with that hood, that fallen angel image. You see it in movies. I started seeing this back in the 70s, that why is it always the hero is an anti-hero? He's not really a good guy. He just shoots better. He's tougher. He's smarter. And he always gets a girl. Well, that's the story of the fallen angels. So I don't think their history has not died. We're keeping it alive, with comic book superheroes and Star Wars. So...
Well, there's been reports of like giants in the Amazon and Brazil and Argentina. Have you heard anything like that? Yes. There
was I think it's Pigafetta, one of the Spanish conquistadors. Those guys were going all over the place and finding stuff. And if they came through Patagonia, which means Bigfoot, if they came through that area, at a time when these giant tribes were there fishing or harvesting fruit, or we don't know what they were doing, having a meeting, they'd see them, and they got to know some of them. This one guy, he was 10 feet tall. The Spaniards were about 5'3", so they could almost walk under his legs, beneath his legs. So, but they gave him some kind of clothes, and when he met them, they came out to the beach, and these things were jumping up and down. They were painted with strange paintings on them. I don't think he had much hair. And they were pointing to heaven. I can't explain that, but anyway, there may be these giant footprints. So eventually the Spaniards somehow or other coaxed this guy to get on the ship with them. Said he drank a whole gallon of water or something and ate a bunch of fish. And his voice was so loud that it hurt their ears. It was like a bull bellowing. If you've ever heard a bull bellow or a cow, they're really loud. They kind of, if you're right there, it's like, gee, that's awful loud. And this is really crazy. They apparently, I don't know, preached the gospel to him or something and baptized him and gave him the name of John. So other people came through. Which one was it? One of the other explorers came through. He said, I never saw any giants. So, okay, well, maybe you came at the wrong time of year. Maybe they weren't having a festival that month, So, again, there's some people say, well, we never found any giants. We never saw any living pterodactyls. We never saw any living dinosaurs. Well, does that mean they didn't, that nobody else did? No, it doesn't. It just means you didn't.
Oh, yeah. And Joe, what's the odds if you're out looking for something to find it? It's usually when you find something when you're not expecting it.
A couple of my friends were up in the Kansas somewhere area up there in the sandstone. This old Indian gentleman had told them about these strange objects he had seen that had left impressions in the bottom of the creek, the hard sandstone. So they looked around and decided it wasn't there, and a mile away, stumbled onto this little puddle of water. The guy looks over and the light hits it just right. He goes, "Oh my gosh, look at this! It's them." And they weren't even looking for it; they'd given up completely. And had that guy turned and looked the other way for about 6 steps, he would never have seen it. So you're right. You know, you go looking like crazy. You may find it, you may not. A friend of mine has had a horse trailer that looked like an old horse trailer on the outside, but inside was like kind of Mission Impossible. He went in search. He went down to Arizona to try and catch a living pterodactyl because there are a lot of reports down there. There are reports across right across my hometown here. He went down there with a live goat. Now, I know this will offend some people, but he tied the goat out there to coax these pterodactyls to come down and grab it. Then he was prepared to shoot them with a net. He had on protective clothing because if these things spit on you or defecate on you, you can die of third-degree burns. So he's prepared. And I guess had cameras and all that. Well, nothing happened. Eventually, you know, you run out of time. You got to get back home. So was he wrong? He just went at the wrong time. Out here in West Texas, Route 651, Farm Route 651, runs right through our hometown here, right across the main Highway 82, right by my museum. It goes from the farm communities down to the ranch communities. And on that road, there's so many things that have happened. Bigfoot, spaceships, all kinds of lights, and strange visions in the sky. And, you know, they've been seen a lot. So this one rancher was telling us, you know, you come out here and sit on this hill, you'll probably see something. So me and another guy went out. We sat there from sundown, 6 o'clock, till midnight. And all along the area where he told us we'd potentially see something, there was nothing. It's the ridge of the cap. It's like a giant mesa, you know, where the water eroded down and the abatement left a big embankment. There was no sign of life over there. In fact, it's so rough that you couldn't even get a horse in over there. So if you saw a light there, it's definitely not human connected. Well, we sat there just sat there in the still with the coyotes barking in the distance, and one of them got real close, and we just watched. And off in the distance were what we assume to be farmhouses, you know, with lights, ranch houses. And just sat there, okay, that's got to be somebody's ranch. And then there was this bigger light, kind of came up among the others. We'd assumed that at treetop height, and it got big, it got orange, and then it'd go down and disappear and come back, and that went on for 20, 30 minutes. I filmed a little bit of it, although it was so dark I didn't get much, but I did get it. And we assumed it was just a big floodlight, but I kept saying, well, why would it go and come? Why would it get bigger and smaller? And there's got to be trees blowing back and forth, or the thing revolves. So we didn't make much of it. I told the rancher, he says, well, there's no light like that down there. And they said, I'll go down with you sometime. We'll see, you know. Well, you know, that guy knows everybody's dog out there. If he says that's not normal, so there's no trees down there. Well, why would it come and go? So anyway, you know, we didn't expect to find anything, but we didn't see them along the cap rock. But we're going to go back. If that light isn't there, then we saw something. But, you know, if you're going to be a researcher and find out anything, you've got to have patience. You've got to go with being willing to go with high expectations, but also with the idea that if I get nothing, it was fun anyway. But it's like you say, you don't always get something when you go looking for it. And sometimes they just show up and you're not even looking. But the quest, you know, the impossible dream thing, that's true. If you don't go looking at it, you'll never find anything unless it just, you know, falls into your lap, which sometimes it does. But serious research has to go and look.
Oh, yeah, you have to. And again, you know, in my case, I wasn't out looking for something when I ran across what I have. But anyway, we need to go on break. Tom, we'll be back in about 2.5, 3 minutes. I'm going to put you on hold, so don't hang up. Everybody, you're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark. Our guest is Tom Taylor. James is out there somewhere if he's still living with us tonight.